In February 1985, a private Learjet is cruising high above the Mediterranean Sea. Inside, 14 Arab citizens are returning from an anti-Israel conference in Libya. They are drinking tea, laughing, and openly mocking the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad. The mockery stops when two Israeli F-15 fighter jets suddenly box the private plane in from both sides. They fire a warning burst of machine gun fire, forcing the pilot to land immediately at a military base in northern Israel. Mossad interrogators are waiting on the tarmac, expecting to capture high-level masterminds, but after hours of questioning, they realize their intelligence was flawed. There are no top-tier targets on board. However, they do single out one specific passenger, a man named Nizar Hindawi. Psychological profilers quickly realize Hindawi is a playboy with expensive tastes, a severe gambling habit, and a constant desperate need for cash.
To a master spy, an ideological fanatic is predictable, but a desperate man with deep personal flaws provides raw material to engineer an incident. To understand why Israel cares about a broke gambler, we have to look at the larger geopolitical board of the mid-1980s. Israel is facing a massive security threat originating straight out of the Syrian embassy in London. Israeli intelligence knows this specific diplomatic building is operating as a covert hub, orchestrating and funding terror plots across Europe. The political dilemma is frustrating. Israel knows the embassy is guilty, but they lack the undeniable evidence required to force the British government to intervene and shut the operation down. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher is notoriously strict on protocol. She demands absolute, irrefutable proof of a state-sponsored attack planned directly on British soil before she will take any diplomatic action against Syria.
Israel needs a crime directly linked to these Syrian diplomats, and they plan to use Hindawi's financial desperation to manufacture exactly that. The grand geopolitical trap begins far away from the embassy, down on the bustling streets of London, right outside the luxury Hilton Hotel. Anne-Marie Murphy is a young Irish woman working at the hotel as a chambermaid. She came to London looking for a better life. Soon, she strikes up a whirlwind romance with a handsome, well-dressed Arab man who frequents the hotel bar, Nizar Hindawi. But they aren't alone. Watching them from across the room is a man calling himself Tom Levy. He looks like a wealthy businessman, but he is actually an undercover Mossad handler. Levy is quietly monitoring Hindawi's every move. He knows Hindawi's destructive personal habits will eventually back him into a corner and create an operational opening for Israeli intelligence. Global intelligence networks rely heavily on satellites and wiretaps, but the real leverage comes from exploiting the intimate, messy moments of ordinary civilian life. The opening arrives when Anne-Marie gets pregnant. She refuses to have an abortion, which directly threatens Hindawi's expensive, carefree lifestyle. He panics. Desperate to avoid marrying a chambermaid, Hindawi turns to an associate named Abu. He begs Abu for enough cash to send Anne-Marie away and avoid the commitment. In reality, Abu is a double agent working for Mossad, and his direct handler is Tom Levy, the man watching from the hotel bar. This flowchart shows Mossad's Operation Chambermaid. Handler Levy gives double agent Abu $20,000 for Hindawi, but with a strict condition. Hindawi must orchestrate a bombing. Hindawi immediately buys Anne-Marie a ticket to Israel, claiming she needs his parents' traditional blessing. Mossad is now actively funding a bombing attempt on their own national airline, intentionally using an innocent pregnant woman as the hook to catch the real perpetrators. On April 17, 1986, Anne-Marie arrives at Heathrow Airport. She shares a tearful goodbye with Hindawi, deeply believing she is flying toward her new life, carrying a heavy travel bag over her shoulder. Right before she heads to the gate, a man claiming to be Hindawi's friend approaches her. He slips a specific bag into her possession, asking her to carry it on board. Anne-Marie approaches the security checkpoint for LL, the Israeli national airline, completely unaware of what is actually in her hands. Security forces intercept the bag. Upon inspection, they rip the lining open and discover 1.5 kilograms of Semtex. Semtex is a military-grade plastic explosive. If this plot had succeeded and the flight reached cruising altitude, 355 people would have died. Anne-Marie was an unwitting suicide bomber, saved only because Mossad engineered the entire trap. The fallout is immediate. A devastated Anne-Marie sits in an interrogation room crying, pouring out her entire story to British intelligence. They quickly realize she is a victim. Armed with her timeline, authorities track down Hindawi. They find him hiding under a fake name in a London hotel and arrest him on the spot. Investigators finally have what they need to act. They trace the Semtex and the operational planning directly back to Hindawi's handlers inside the Syrian embassy. Presented with undeniable proof of state-sponsored terror planned in her city, Prime Minister Thatcher acts decisively. She permanently shutters the Syrian embassy and immediately expels all its diplomats from the country. Mossad's high-stakes gamble worked. By manipulating one man's greed, they created a domino effect that crippled a massive European terror network without firing a single military shot. For his role, the British courts hand Nizar Hindawi a 45-year prison sentence. Anne-Marie Murphy is cleared of all charges. She returns safely home to Ireland, where she raises her daughter far away from the geopolitical crossfire. While the public romanticizes spies relying on high-tech gadgets, the reality of black ops is often much colder. The most potent weapons are human vulnerabilities, and history is routinely shaped by people